Hey everybody, PM Kester here to talk about finding inspiration. It's the beginning of the year. It's the time where we set goals, we set intentions, we seek purpose, and a lot of times that correlates with inspiration. We're looking for next steps. So I want to give you 3 ways that I find inspiration, and I look forward to having a conversation with you in the comments to find out how you find inspiration when maybe things are getting a little stagnant or you need a gentle push to keep going. So go grab a pencil, paper, something to drink, meet me back here, and let's get into the show. All right, as always, we start things with a little housekeeping. Thank you so much. I have noticed that I have gotten a few new subscribers after the career videos. If you're here, please look at some of my other videos. Check out my playlist because there was a whole podcast called How to Take a Break before I came over to the YouTube channel. So there's like a best of playlist. Go there, make sure you like, make sure you comment, and share. If there's something that you hear, share with someone else. That helps the channel grow, puts me out there so more people can see what I'm doing over here. Let's get into finding inspiration. As you know, if you've been watching here, I wrote a book called Cycles. It is available in ebook and in paperback. And I found myself at the end of the year, I'm writing the sequel for Cycles, hopefully to come out next, well, not even next, this summer. But I've hit like a little bit of a writer's block. And I think for me, since I work in communications as my 9 to 5, I write so much during the week. It can become too much and almost like I get tapped out of inspiration when it comes to doing things for myself because I do so much for other people. So if you are in a situation like me where your 9 to 5 job and your passions kind of collide, how do you tap into inspiration? How do you find inspiration so that you can continue on in your purpose, so to speak, or continue on with what you're trying to do for yourself for fun? How do you find inspiration? So there are 3 things that I do and have done very recently to find inspiration. Number 1, I have been visiting a lot of museums and going to different exhibits. I went to, there's a museum of design art. I did that some months ago, and there was a chocolate exhibit. I'll be going back in the coming months because there's a hoodie exhibit. But in December, if you watch my 5 things I did for myself video, I went to the SCAD Fashion Museum and saw the Andre Leon Talley exhibit, which impacted me so much that I am going back. I'm going back because that's just how much impact it is. I literally got to the end of the exhibit and I'm sitting watching a video in the museum store, and I just took out my journal and started writing. It spoke to me so much, and that's what I'm looking for when I go and get inspired. Something that just makes me want to write, makes me feel and want to engage. So definitely be going back there. And SCAD Fash has happened a couple of times where I've gotten that burst of inspiration. They had Ruthie Carter had an exhibit. She's the woman who won the award for doing costumes for Black Panther, but you know, her roster is huge. That was a wonderful exhibit, and they did that simultaneously with a photography exhibit as well. And I even have some of those pictures in my home. So that was wonderful. Today I went to the Victor and Roth exhibit at the High Museum. If you live in Atlanta, the High Museum is free once a month on a Sunday. I think it's usually like second Sunday. But you register in advance to get like a time ticket for the Victor and Roth exhibit, because that's the special exhibit that they have. And it was so good. I took a picture of something and immediately was like, this has inspired me. Of like, now I can kind of see a vision of what I want the cover art for like the sequel of my book. And that's all from like going to museums and getting immersed in art. Something that someone else has gotten inspired to do is now inspiring me. So museums is something great. And I'm going to show some of that footage as well. And because, look, I'm rambling, but because it also coincides, today was a date day for myself. And if you are following me on Instagram, we're doing the 30-day confidence challenge. One of the prompts in the confidence challenge is to take yourself on a date, which is something that a lot of people are kind of afraid to kind of go out to, like dinner and museums and stuff by themselves. I found it so empowering. I learned so much about myself every time I take myself out. So it was such a good day. And so I'm going to show some of that footage now. All right, number 2 on ways that I find inspiration. Sorry, all of my stuff is on my tablet. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books, and I often, in my 9-to-5 job, people ask me how I'm able to write for so many different people, and they don't believe me when I tell them this, but I read a lot, and I think reading a lot just helps me so much, because there's like so many different voices and perspectives in my head. I mean, I read everything. So I read everything. I read magazines. I literally was going to breakfast the other day. I tried to buy a newspaper because I just wanted to hold a physical newspaper in my hand and read it at breakfast. There were no newspapers. I went and got a magazine and flipped through that and read all the articles. I read a whole bunch of books, fiction and nonfiction, but I read a lot of romance. People shade romance, but romance authors are great if you're looking for someone that really researches stuff. Romance authors research a lot. Like, if you think back to, I used to sneak and read my mom's Harlequin romances when I was little, and they had like the Harlequin historicals, and that was like actual historical fact. Like, they was writing about like the different setups of when they did robberies and dealing with trains and all this type of stuff, like, you know, with the Westerns and the Victorian era stuff. So I love romance. Like, if I feel stuck a lot of times, I will find a romance novel to read or reread something. I just finished nonfiction wise, one of President Obama's speechwriters, I read his book because I write speeches. And so that's been a big thing for me. I've been just researching former speechwriters and reading their books and looking at tips and tricks, and just ways to kind of get re-inspired for the work that I do every day. So read. It's so helpful for inspiration. Finally, the last way I find inspiration is by taking a walk. Walks clear my head. I think out a lot of things when I walk, but it's also not uncommon for me to just pass something, a pretty building, someone wearing a certain perfume or a certain shoe or anything like that, trees, clouds, and just lock in and get inspired to like write a chapter in my book, do something different with my business. But walking helps so much. That movement, I think it's just the act of movement and just getting outside that allows you to just get outside of your head. That helps so much. So 3 ways that I find inspiration. Number 1, museums. Number 2, reading. Number 3, take a walk. Drop a comment and let me know how you find inspiration. And until next time, find a little time to take a break. Bye. All right, so I've gotten ready. I'm going out to lunch and to see the Victor and Rolf exhibit at the High Museum in Atlanta. It's part of like my Date Myself Day, if you're on that day in the Confidence Challenge. And I love it. And it's so weird because it's something that I have been doing for a few years. And I remember when I first started going, like dressing up and taking myself out to dinner and things like that, I had a couple of people come over and talk to me and, you know, pat me on the back, good for you, or like, I don't know how you can just go out. And I'm like, how can you not? It's so wonderful. And it helps with my confidence in like, you know, talking, because I'm not like a chit chatty talk with people at bars and tables and restaurant type person. So it's really helped me with being able to do that. And also, I'm like, it helps me when I'm interacting with my friends, because I feel like I always have some place to recommend, just like, oh, have you seen this? We should go there. And so I think it just makes you more well-rounded. You learn more about your likes and your dislikes when you just date yourself and go out there in the world, make new friends.